What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Up until about 2 days ago, I had a completely different video planned for today. Unfortunately, one of the items that I was going to be talking about is kind of bouncing around Chicago's Postal Service, so hopefully I'll be able to talk about that topic next week. But today, I'm going to share with you some of the upcoming games in the crowdfunding scene, as well as some upcoming exciting news for the channel. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Regarding the channel, I want to talk a little bit about Discord. Now, this idea came out of a discussion with a couple of different subs in the comments section, all seeking to get a better way to chat about the topics that we have been chatting about in the YouTube comments section. These conversations led to my thumbnail creator, Mike the Hammer, to decide that he was going to take it upon himself to create a Discord channel for myself and the channel, and of course for you. Mike will be helping to moderate the Discord channel as well as myself. Inside, you're going to find forums for discussions about games, finding play groups, recent videos, and just general gamer talk. Exciting for some of you, there will be a dedicated free resource forum, so you won't have to wait for me to email you back whenever you ask me for my custom random encounter table or your solo setup story generator. In the future, there's potential for online RPG sessions hosted by yours truly or another DM, if there's interest and we can figure out a way to make it feasible. Additionally, if you're subscribed to the channel and you turn on your notifications, it will automatically populate my most recent video to the Discord, so if YouTube decides to get funny, you will not miss out on my newest content. To join the Discord, look for the link in the description of this and all future videos on Books, Bricks, and Boards. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about some games. I have from time to time shared information about upcoming games on this channel as they've been sent to me by their designers. Please understand, I only share about 1 out of every 3 games that get sent to me, so if you're a designer and I didn't talk about your game, likely it just wasn't something that I was interested in. And doesn't mean that I don't appreciate your work, it's just not for me. I'm a grumpy old man after all.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Over the course of the last year, I've shared upcoming adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics, The Fantastic Monstrous by a former player of mine, Kenny Webb, rest in peace, buddy, and the beautifully crafted Legacy of Cthulhu, which, by the way, Mind's Vision did send me this amazing deluxe copy of, but only after I had already given my honest opinion of their game. Didn't know they were going to do that when I did the review, but was going to buy it if they didn't. Today, I'm going to share 2 new crowdfunding projects to which I want to preface the following. Crowdfunding projects, by their very nature, have a certain amount of inherent risk involved. These are typically smaller companies with tighter budgets and often less experience in delivering to the masses. If you choose to back a project for your own sake and the sake of the creators, go into it understanding that timelines and delivery specifics can and almost certainly will change between campaigns and the time that you get the game. And yes, there is a chance you won't get it at all. These designers and I had brief conversations, so I don't really know them, and I haven't done extensive research on them. If you are concerned about anything other than what was in the game content that they shared with me, I am not an expert. I had nice conversations with both blokes about the games that I'm going to discuss, and they seemed good in an email exchange. With that knowledge and $7, you can get yourself some Starbucks coffee. The versions of the games that I am discussing are very early and preview versions. My understanding is that both of these will be seeing a lot of polish and or content expansion in the coming months. If you like the concepts but have an issue with a mechanic or lack thereof, I would suggest you watch the campaign to see if it gets addressed prior to shipping. With all that out of the way, let's check out some games. First off, I'm going to be discussing the Sword Wastelands of Iraq by Armana Games and written by Andrzej Popovic.
Hell's his name?
Andrzej Popovic, coming to Kickstarter July 23rd. This is aiming to be a Mork Borg trimmed down further and just a little bit more grim based upon the Songs and Sagas RPG. The layout has a similar grim death metal vibe as Mork Borg and the same love it or hate it use of organization as Mork Borg and its clones, with enemy stat blocks populating the lower parts of each of the pages. rather than being in their own section. I also noticed that the rules as printed didn't seem to flow in a way that was logical to my brain, but the designer assured me that it was an error with the file printer setup. Not sure that that satisfied my issues, but at any rate, the whole document I received was only 6 pages long, so hunting back and forth for definitions and rules examples was far from exhaustive. Just a nitpick. The world of the game is what really pulled me in. I know you're likely thinking, but didn't he just say that the whole document is 6 pages? I guess it is more of the concept of the world than the actual population of it with ideas. You see, the game is in a mysterious setting that seems to be a part purgatory, part hexcrawl, and part 80s death metal album. The characters, because there are no heroes here, are risen undead, as it seems are the rest of the inhabitants of this long dead world. They are searching for meaning and answers while clinging to the remaining heirlooms that remind them of their days among the living, and also give them additional power. Anything from your first tooth to a poem about a now forgotten love to a quill used to write great works of literature, they all have specific purpose and mechanical enhancement in the game. I am hoping that in the final game there will be more, as the 6 presented in the preview would grow stale quickly, but without too much effort, one could come up with several great options here. It is more the concept than the actual execution that drew me in here. Getting back to the world at large, the game provides a very small hex crawl style blank map of a rock, which you can randomly generate danger levels and stories for as you make your way across to the end of your story, where presumably you find an answer to your character's great questions. With ruins, towers, and bogs to wade through, you will stay plenty busy during your travels, but out of all the terrain options, again generated randomly during play, the hilt-heavy Wasteland is the most interesting. An ancient battlefield with broken blades sticking out of the ground, and occasionally you may just find an intact weapon that can aid you on your quest. Of course, others might be seeking out similar treasures to use as well, so be careful. Like everything else here, the concept is great, but there are only 4 options in the preview, so again, hoping that the final game would have more to try out. Mechanically, the game is very familiar with a D20 target number system, 9 for easy, 12 for standard, and 15 for hard, modified by the appropriate strain, which is just their term for attribute. Strains are between -2 and +2 to start, so failure rate is going to be high. The same mechanic is used in all aspects of the game, and successful attempts will net you the meta currency in the form of playing cards, which can later be burned to increase a roll, aid an ally, remove a setback, or even pull a sword out of the wasteland, among other options. The cards in the game are also used to generate danger levels for the region, modify the difficulty of actions, to the player's detriment often, and generate the starting strains for the players. With all player-facing roles, this game has excellent potential for a solo play mode if you used a GM emulator, but as far as I know, the designer is not including that option in the default product. So with this game, you have a rules-light grim fantasy game that has a unique setting and some interesting mechanical twists. Is it enough to replace your primary tabletop RPG? Maybe not. But with these micro-sized games, I find that they are often worth a pickup to run when some players don't show up, introduce new people to the hobby, or plunder for ideas to use in your homebrew games. I don't know that I will be kickstarting the project, but even if I don't, I will be keeping an eye on this game and watching for future projects from Armana Games, based on the sharp ideas that I've seen here. Next up, I'm going to be talking about Miami 86, the Miami Vice City wedding singer-inspired TTRPG. Okay, so maybe that last one was just my own fever dream.
I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
Miami 86 by Archmage Araspin, written by Maciej Robluski, sorry if I got that wrong, coming to GameFound August 20th and running until September 19th. This game is the game that I needed when I was in college. I remember calling every game store within 100 miles of my home to find a copy of GTA Vice City on launch day, and when I found one, promptly excusing myself from class to go procure it. Maybe not the best judgment there if my kids are watching. Remember, Dad wasn't always rock solid as a decision maker as he is today. And hey, what are you doing watching this channel anyway? At any rate, Miami 86 takes the concepts behind Cairn and uses them to build a TTRPG that takes us all the way back to the 80s. Don Johnson and Tom Selleck would be right at home in this system. The version of the game that I was able to review, which interestingly enough is available for you to download as well with minimal Google foo, is the one-page edition. Since the full game is set to be around 80 pages of A5 perfect bound beauty, the one-page edition is definitely leaving out some important details. That said, I like what I see in the one-pager. Characters are defined by their 3 stats, strength, dexterity, and willpower, each rolled with the Gygaxian-approved 3d6 method, as well as having a single 6-sided die for HP, that being hit protection. Sure, totally not hit points.
Right.
Next, the document provides you with some 80s appropriate backgrounds, followed by the real gem here, the stuff section, with era-inspired weapons, vehicles, and, items? It was clear that there was some great focus on the 80s for this game. Rightfully so, too, as the appeal of this game, aside from a simple rule set, is going to be in the era immersion. In the 80s, if nothing else, was about consumerism. For the amount of space that they had to dedicate to the topic, I found that the selection was very good. I do think that fists doing a D4 damage and a revolver only doing a D6 damage is a little bit wonky, but that is about how every other game does it as well, so I might just be having a bit of an old man moment here.
Get off my lawn.
Mechanically, we get a simple save mechanic, which is a standard attribute roll for those of you familiar with BXD&D. You roll a d20 and get less than or equal to your attribute, rinse and repeat. Saves seem to be the only real way to do things in the game, but I'd be interested in seeing more discussion and information about that in the full product. Combat goes to hit rolls altogether, skipping straight to damage. So with your d6 HP and a d4 punch damage, it is fair to assume that getting reduced to 0 HP will be common. The good news is, when you hit 0, you aren't dead, but you might wish you were. The remaining damage comes off of your strength stat, and then you have to make a strength save to see if you stay up or you get knocked out of combat. Sounds like a game that could have fast and fun combat with the right GM and players at the table. You definitely won't be solving every problem with your little friend, though.
Say hello to my little friend!
The one-page edition also includes a 4-entry bestiary, one of which is a kingpin and another an alligator, so expect some weird missions if you stick to what is on the page. The random job generator is your standard stuff, but will give you a concept in a pinch. The location generator is appropriately 80s focused. So Miami 86, what did I think? Well, I honestly don't know that I could play it in a group with a straight face, but that very well could be okay, because the campaign is going to include a solo play mode. And you know how much I appreciate a dedicated solo play mode in an RPG. Basically, in Miami 86, you have a tried and true gameplay mechanic tied with a completely underrepresented genre of game. It should go without saying, but this game has concepts and content that are not suitable for young children and might make some adults bristle a bit. But I think I am really excited to see what that 80-page full game is going to include. One can assume there will be more of everything we get in the one-page edition, stuff, enemies, and random tables, but what kind of other goodies will be packed in those 80 pages? Between the two games that I reviewed today, Miami 86 is the one that has piqued my interest the most. Again, not sure I will crowdfund this, but I might. I have a thing for A5 perfect bound RPGs, and I am, if nothing else, an 80s fanatic, so they might have made a true believer out of me. That's my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours. Tell me in the comments how you feel about these two games or the Books, Bricks, and Boards University Discord channel. If you do decide to visit the Discord, go download some of my free gaming content and say hi to Mike the Hammer while you're there. Who knows, yours truly may just pop in to join the conversation as well. As we recently passed 4,000 subs and on our way to 5,000, I probably don't need to remind you, but if you did enjoy the content, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because all of that helps me get my content out to more gamers and grows this little slice of the hobby that we occupy. Until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.